This program is brought to you by generous donations from the community and sponsored by Stiefel Financial.
Good evening, Nevada County. I'm Keith Overby, your host for tonight's edition of Nevada County Now. Local health officials have confirmed the detection of the H5N1 avian influenza. Say that, that's a mouthful. Commonly known as bird flu in the wastewater system. Wastewater testing can provide an early warning of an outbreak. At this time, there have been no reported cases in humans or cows in Nevada County. The limitations of wastewater testing is it can't determine if the virus came from humans, animals, or animal products. And while there are no documented cases of H5N1 here in Nevada County, in other counties there have been reported human cases. One county has reported to have over 30 cases in dairy workers. The H5N1 bird flu is a highly pathogenic avian influenza. It is caused by a virus that can cause serious illness and death in birds and mammals. Human infections with bird flu viruses are rare, but they can happen when the virus gets into a person's eyes, nose, mouth, or when inhaled. And like all viruses, it can also mutate. Local residents are being advised to take extra precautions, including avoiding contact with wild birds and reporting any dead or sick birds to local authorities. Local conservationists are expressing concerns over the potential impact on wild bird populations. The outbreak could disrupt migratory patterns and local ecosystems if not contained. Pasteurized milk and dairy products are safe to consume. Pasteurization inactivates the bird flu virus. Now, if you believe you come in contact with a sick or dead bird or a cow, the symptoms in humans can present in many ways. These include eye redness or discharge, cough, sore throat, runny or stuffy nose, diarrhea, vomiting, muscle or body aches, headaches, fatigue, trouble breathing, a fever of 100 degrees or higher, pneumonia, or seizures. If you should experience any of these, you should consult with your physician as well as the Nevada County Public Health Office at 530-265-1450. Now, as this situation develops, health and agricultural officials are closely monitoring the situation. And for more details or to report sick or dead birds, Nevada County residents are urged to contact the local Health and Human Services Agency or the California Department of Fish and Wildlife. Now don't go away, we'll take a short break and then we're going to be right back.
Thank you to Stiefel Financial, proudly helping individuals pursue financial goals, businesses and organizations raise and protect capital, and communities offer a higher quality of life. To learn more, visit www.stiefel.com.
All right, welcome back, everybody. The firing of many local federal forestry employees due to President Donald Trump's plan to shrink the U.S. federal government has many Nevada County residents worried. Fire season is just a few short months away. In an effort to reduce fuels, the Nevada County Resource Conservation District, known as NCRCD, has announced the launch of Nevada County's own Prescribed Burn Association. The Nevada County Resource Conservation District was founded in November 13, 1943, with a mission to promote responsible natural resource management. The organization is a state-mandated special district that is neither a regulatory agency or a county entity. It is a, quote, political subdivision of the state of California, not funded by the state and required to pay state sales tax. They are a not-for-profit, federally tax-exempt organization that receives a small percentage of revenue from property taxes of Nevada County residents. They are governed by a board of 5 local landowners who provide input for local resource management and are appointed by the Nevada County Board of Supervisors. Prescribed fire or controlled burning is a tool used for good land stewardship. For more than 150 years, fires have been suppressed and forests have grown up dense, causing fuel to build up. As a result, wildfires are now more intense. Nevada County is fortunate to have several organizations that support community-based prescribed burning. The Yuba Bear Burn Cooperative, known as YBBC, is a place for community members to network on burns that they need assistance with and to share useful information. The NCRCD coordinates with the YBBC on their prescribed fire education program. The NCRCD is offering workshops and field experiences this fall for landowners interested in learning more about prescribed burning. There's no cost to attend any of the courses, but registration is required, and the schedule is available on the ncrcd.org website. It remains unclear at this time how the firing of local federal employees will affect the efforts to reduce fuels on federal land. The federal government owns about 160,000 acres of land in just Nevada County. This land is in the Tahoe National Forest, which is operated by the U.S. Forest Service. What we are certain of is the continued effort that will be undertaken of many to tackle this problem. All right, folks, now don't go away. We're going to be right back after this short message.
From the foothills of the Sierra Nevada, a new hero will emerge. One who is ready. One who makes sure their friends and family are set. And has the power to go at a moment's notice. This fire season, you're the hero. We are Ready Nevada County.
All right, welcome back, everyone. Nevada County is taking a significant step towards sustainable energy and wildfire prevention with the launch of the Nevada County BIOMass project. This initiative aims to convert forest waste into renewable energy while reducing fire hazards. The BIOMass pilot project processes unusable wood from the forest and turns it into something useful. Biochar, it's a carbon-rich, porous, charcoal-like substance that can improve soil health, retain water, filter impurities, sequester carbon, and enhance agricultural productivity. The project will reduce the wood volume here by up to 90%. And here to tell us about the project is Interim OES Director Alex Keeble-Toll. So Alex, thank you for being here. Nice to have you here with us.
Yeah, thank you.
And first of all, can you give me just a brief overview of exactly what this BIOMass project is and does?
Yeah, sure. So essentially, we have a biomass problem in Nevada County, whether it's too much brush and fuel around our homes, or if we're talking about large timber across Tahoe National Forest.
Mm-hmm.
Our fuel mitigation projects typically look to do what we call rearranged fuels. So we're cutting surface and ladder fuels, but we're often chipping that fuel and then spreading it, in a thin layer on site. And in reality, we need to be removing that biomass from our forests. And so this biomass pilot project is allowing us to take fuel that is being removed off of our land through local projects, including with our partners, Yuba Watershed Institute, through fuel mitigation efforts around PG&E transmission lines. And we are taking that material to a site that the county owns, where we have 2 Tiger Cat carbonizers, which are essentially, if you could imagine, a very large open top shipping container. We're putting that large material into these carbonizers, where it's basically processing it, heating it in a low oxygen environment, and it reduces the volume of that wood by up to 90%. and leaves you with biochar at the end, which is that value-added soil amendment that you were speaking of.
Okay. And where's this located at? Where will this be? These incinerators, I guess is a good term for them, incinerators, or what did you call them?
They're carbonizers.
Carbonizers,
very
okay.
similar concept.
All right. Where would these carbonizers be, where are they located at?
So they are located at the county-owned property off LeBar Meadows out in Grass Valley, and they're actually on site and have been operating essentially all month long. It's part of a partnership with Earth Foundries, who actually have and operate those carbonizers. And then we're partnering with PG&E and then Mountain Enterprises, which is going around with the grapple truck and essentially picking up this material. Right now, we're really focusing on large materials. So if we think about some of those large trees that came down in our winter storms a couple of years ago, or beetle-killed trees that are being taken down, very large material, and then we're moving that on site and processing that in those carbonizers, and you end up with these large totes of biochar as a byproduct of that.
You just, okay, the biochar, if somebody wants to come and get this biochar, can they just come up with their pickup and fill up their pickup, or, you know, how do they do this, or trailer?
Yeah, so that's a really good question, and we're actually figuring that piece out right now. We're having conversations with the Resource Conservation District and with other members of the ag community around the best place to find a home for this biochar. I think it's important to note that biochar itself doesn't necessarily have like a nutrient value. What it's really good at is it has all these binding surfaces that allow it to store water and nutrients in the soil. So it acts as this catalyst for enriching soil health.
So it's kind of a soil amendment.
Yeah,
Okay.
exactly. And it's value added in the sense that if you amend your soil with biochar, you're potentially going to have to apply less water. You're going to have to apply less fertilizer. So at the end of the day, you'll be able to grow a excellent crop, whatever that may be, with potentially not as much expensive inputs to the process.
Now, for example, the Gold Country Senior Services has their wood yard out there at that location on LeBar now. It's the corporation yard, I actually think, for the county for all their trucks and equipment, graders, etc. They, you know, cutting up wood, they get a lot of slag or just trash that's left. It's bark and whatnot. Are they able to put that into the pile to be incinerated or to be carbonized also?
So we're not currently taking slash from their site to be carbonized, but we are looking at options for what are the other appropriate inputs to this system. And I say that because when we're trying to figure out how to address biomass and really reduce that wildfire risk, right? Remove that fuel from our landscape, I think an important piece of the conversation is thinking about what type of material needs to come off of our land. And so thinking about things like how much community green waste do we have that needs to find a home, and can we put that green waste into these Tiger Cat carbonizers? Right now we're hoping to process 5,000 tons of material this year. For context, last year through our 7 community green waste events, folks dropped off 576 tons of material. So there's clearly a need. These carbonizers can process that type of material. For this initial pilot, we were really focusing on the large material because that's often the most challenging for residents to address, frankly, because you can't easily cut it up yourself or chip it yourself or move it off site yourself. So we were really trying to specifically address that need around the really big material that people can't tackle. Hence the partnership with Mountain Enterprises, which have this grapple truck, which they can go around and pick up very large logs that would be impossible for a resident, for instance, to move.
And for those who don't know, Mountain Air is the contractor with PG&E that's trimming branches off of power lines and doing all that. You see their trucks all over the county.
Yeah, so it's Mountain Enterprises.
Excuse me.
They're a local, they're a vendor, and they've been working with us in partnership of this project. In addition to City of Grass Valley, Earth Foundries, Nevada County Consolidated.
So now if I understood you correctly, like I see the mountain, you know, I see the Mountain Air is it Mountain
Enterprises?
Enterprises,
Uh-huh.
okay, whatever, the white trucks. I know it says Mountain on the side.
Sure.
I see a lot of them, they're cutting limbs, big limbs, and then they have a big chipper that they're pulling behind the truck, blowing it into the truck bed or whatever that's enclosed, of course. Can they bring that material to you and put it in the incinerator? Is that able to be disposed of in that way, or are you right now just focusing on the big stuff and you'll get to the smaller stuff?
Yeah, exactly. So right now we're piloting an approach to deal with the big stuff because that's really a gap that we saw in how we're addressing wildfire mitigation. Is we have these winter storms, for instance, very large trees come down. People don't have the physical ability or the means to move that material. So, for instance, the Office of Emergency Services, we used our 2024 evacuation study, which looked at evacuation constraints countywide. And through that, we got a lot of input from the community. And we've used that study to prioritize where we're going to pick up some of this material. And it's important to note that we've prioritized areas not just that were identified as concerns in the evacuation study, but that makes sense in the larger context of wanting to address carbon emissions as part of this project, because how far you're transporting material really factors into the equations of how you address biomass.
And the reason I asked, I used to volunteer with Gold Country Senior Services and work with the wood program somewhat. And I was just curious, about that. And then I know too that they get tons of calls from people to say, can you guys come out and cut up this tree that's down in my yard? They don't drop trees. They strictly, if they're down, we'll come cut them up and use them for, our wood program. Have you coordinated with them at all about some of this? Because I know, it used to be we would be scrambling around looking for wood, and lately with of course, the change in the fire insurance thing where people are clearing their property and the storms and everything we've had, say, in the last 5 to half dozen years, they were getting a whole lot more calls there at that organization about trees being down. So I don't know if are you working with them at all, or
yeah, so they've been fantastic partners, and we recently did a site tour out there and included their programming as part of the tour so that people really recognize all the different ways that we can add value at the same time that we're reducing wildfire risk. So opportunities to both provide material for their program, and then in the future, opportunities to support their program by, as you were saying, address some of the non-usable material that's coming out of that, the bark and other debris, because they have essentially a storage bin down there that they're putting all of that material in. Yeah, and this is a pilot project, right? It's a 6-month pilot project where we've really just been trying to get our arms around what does it look like to permit this kind of project? What does it look like to make it operational? How much does it truly cost? What are some of the constraints around getting these very large grapple trucks out into the community? I mean, they're enormous vehicles. So where can
it's like
you...
logging trucks.
Exactly. So where can you and can't you get a grapple truck? How much do you have to front load the process by getting material in a place where the grapple truck can reach it? Is large woody debris the best type of material for us to be addressing, or should we be focusing on green waste coming out of the community?
Yeah, so it's kind of learning as you go along. You're kind of crawling before you start walking, I guess, so to speak.
Yeah, I mean, like all good pilot projects, we're hoping to have some good lessons learned coming out of this and know better, do better in the future, and kind of be part of the solution in Nevada County addressing biomass, of which there's many different ways to be part of that solution, whether it's participating in prescribed burn associations and actually, prescribed fire as a way to remove biomass from the landscape.
Now, if we have a landowner has some trees down on their property and they're able to cut them up themselves, and they're able to load them into a truck of their own, are they able to come out to your facility and drop these off, or have folks at the county there unload them into the carbonizer? That was what you called it.
Yeah,
right?
You got it right. So not with this current project, but that's the type of input we want as we're looking at the next iteration, is if we were to open up this project in the same way we do with community green waste drop-off events.
Mm-hmm.
What type of material would people be able to provide to the project, and what is the greatest need? And does it make sense to have community members, as you say, do that kind of sweat equity work themselves and load it up and bring it? Or is it more efficient and a better use of resources to go out there with a grapple truck and grab it in that way?
Okay.
And these are all questions we're working to answer so that we
As you
can,
go along.
as we
That's
go
true.
along, yeah.
I understand. Let me ask you this: how these carbonizers? What is the issue? Are there any issues with emission, air quality? What kind of hoops did you have to jump through on that?
Yeah, so I mean, you definitely have to get everything appropriately permitted, but generally speaking, these carbonizers are very clean in terms of emissions. There's not concerns with there being significant emission impacts. And I think that as a community, we all need to understand that this type of technology, we have a known emissions outcome when we're using it, and we know when it's going to happen, and we're planning appropriately for days when the weather conditions are appropriate, in contrast to a catastrophic wildfire that happens without warning, that typically happens when it's very warm outside. We have to be in our homes. The emissions are catastrophic. So not unlike other uses of fire, like pile burning or prescribed fire, I think that learning to operate within the boundaries of incineration and fire that we can control and we know serves us well as far.
Just curious, what is, you said they're the size of one of these shipping containers you see on the back of trucks. So some of those are 30, 40 foot long.
Yeah. And
10 foot wide or so. I don't know, something like that. Is that what they are? About
yeah, I'll be honest, I'm really terrible at like visualizing metrics, but they're very similar in size to large shipping containers.
Now you mentioned at first it was open air on top, but I assume they then have some sort of top you put on it when you fire them up.
So they're lifting the material into them constantly into the carbonizers, and then it's incinerating, and the biomass, or rather the biochar, is coming out of the bottom. So there's not a top per se on it, because the process,
there's like a chute that you put it in.
It's continuous, that process of putting material in. So it's actually really neat to watch, because it's a huge amount of material that gets processed very quickly.
What's the heat in one of those?
That's a good question. I don't actually know offhand the heat.
Do we bring hot dogs or marshmallows? Or what?
Yeah, you could definitely roast marshmallows for sure.
I bet you probably fry eggs on top of that thing.
Yeah, you want to stand back from it when you're watching it, and you can feel the heat. And you don't want to wear clothing where the little bits of ember could get like caught in your polyester shirt. But you know, it's a very clean, very effective process that I think I mentioned. It reduces the biomass by like 90%. So
great.
Yeah, watching it is really cool.
Curiosity, you said you got 2 of those units sitting out there. How much do those things cost a piece?
Ooh, you're asking me another question I don't have an answer for as far as how much they cost a piece.
Ballpark?
Ballpark, I would say several $100,000.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're expensive pieces of equipment. And then you get them to your site, you get them up and running, you get them fully operational. These ones have been at the site since, late in the year last year. We've been operating in February, and we will finish up in early March.
Now, the stuff that's taken out to the transfer station, and there's branches, limbs, leaves. Could that go into the carbonizer? Yeah,
you could carbonize that material.
Is there any kind of a plan to, instead of I don't know where Waste Management hauls it to, perhaps you do, I don't, but is there any kind of a plan instead of hauling it, I don't know, out of town 50 miles or wherever their plant is to deal with it? Is there a plan or any kind of ideas working that they'd be able to take what's at Waste Management and bring it to you guys?
So, I mean, I think all options as far as coordination are on the table. The closest bioenergy facility to us is Rio Bravo in Rockland, and that's 52 miles away. And I mean, you're correct in that the cost to transport, right? It's astronomical.
Oh yeah. Well, plus you do have an effect with emissions from the vehicles and whatnot, you know,
Exactly.
traffic.
Yeah, we ran some estimates on if you were to put basically a bioenergy facility, so like a 3 kilowatt facility in Nevada County that could process 30,000 tons of waste a year, right? You would save about $6.9 million in transportation costs if you were to keep that material in Nevada County versus transport it to Rio Bravo, Rockland.
To be burned or whatever it is. I
Yeah,
assume they
basically,
burn it, turn it to
similar. It's a
turn it to
bioenergy
mulch or
facility. It
whatever.
actually, yeah, so it generates some energy. But finding a way to keep the material in Nevada County and close that loop on the process is what we're all looking at. So while we haven't specifically worked out a partnership with Waste Management, for instance, we are looking at what are our outputs from the forest and what does the solution need to be to find a way to process that material.
Now, and I mentioned this prior, one of the city council meetings I was watching for Grass Valley City Council is they were gifted some property off of Brunswick in the Loma Rica Ranch area, and there's somewhere, I don't know exactly where it is, but they were talking about their plans for what to do with it. And one of the plans was for a biomass plant. Are you familiar with that?
Yeah, so they're looking to.
What's the difference, or
Sure.
Can you partner those, or how do those fit in with each other?
Yeah, so they're looking to stand up a bioenergy facility, which would be not unlike what is at Rio Bravo and Rockland. Mm-hmm. So in that case, you're taking biomass and you're using it to produce energy, essentially electricity that can go into the grid at the end of the day. And that is different than what we're doing, where we're not producing energy through this pilot project. Mm-hmm. We are using those Tiger Cat carbonizer to produce biochar as the end product, which is a soil amendment. So,
but it's the same kind of material?
Somewhat. My understanding around bioenergy facilities is that the parameters of what the material has to look like in terms of percent moisture and how big it can be a little bit different. So like 10% moisture, not smaller than a matchstick, those types of things. The inputs are a little bit more specific depending on the type of technology. I think biochar creation with a carbonizer is probably the most forgiving in terms of the types of different material you can put in.
Well, I think we could keep talking about this for a long time, and there's a lot of information out there. Is there anything that you'd like to add in closing?
No worries. I would just encourage the Nevada County community to be aware that we are going to be rolling out community green waste events starting at the end of April. So you can go to readynevadacounty.org for more information about those green waste events. But we'll essentially be partnering with Waste Management, again, out at the McCourtney Transfer Station. We'll also be partnering up in Truckee for events at the Truckee Rodeo Grounds. So as far as community green waste, that's coming. Now's the time to do your defensible space while the weather cooperates and we're not in those fire conditions. It hasn't warmed up yet. So that's what's coming, and get out there and do the good work.
All right. Well, thank you, Alex. A lot of good information, and I think there's a lot more information out there that if we had more time, we could get to it. But I appreciate you coming by, and thank you for sharing all this with us.
Yeah, no problem.
So anyway, folks, we have to go away for a little commercial, and don't go away, but we'll be right back.
"13 years ago, my much younger husband, that was 17 years younger than me, passed away. Then 2 days later, my dad passed away. Then a couple weeks later, my brother passed away. So I had all my men I lost, all within a short time. Well, when I came back from the Bay Area from having my husband cremated, I came back here and I had a ride with a family member, and they had informed me that since my husband died, I won't have his finances anymore, that I won't be able to feed my dogs and my bird, and that I had to get rid of them. And I looked at my family member and said, "What are you talking about? They're all I have left. No matter what, I was gonna keep them. I was determined." So I looked around, asked questions to people and everything, and I found the pet pantry, and they were willing to help feed my dogs and my parrot.
Owning and caring for a pet promotes health, reduces loneliness, and brings joy and comfort for our seniors, especially those that are homebound. Without the pet food pantry, our seniors are at risk for losing their cherished companion.
Pet food pantry programs are donation funded. Without assistance, many seniors share their meals or go without their meals to provide for their pets. This is not healthy for either the pet or the senior. Help your older neighbors by helping their pets. Donate or volunteer today.
They have helped me so much, you have no idea.
All right, everybody, welcome back. And we're going to change gears here and talk to somebody different. History buffs and curious visitors alike are in for a treat with this. The Nevada City Chamber of Commerce has launched an exciting new walking tour that brings the rich past of this historic gold rush town to life. And here to tell us more about it is Nevada City Chamber Executive Director, Stuart Bakers. Stuart, thank you very much for being here.
Great, thank you
We're
for
glad
having
you're
me.
here. And, you know, I guess to start out with, what can you tell me about the Nevada City Historical Walking Tour?
Well, what we see nowadays is everyone gets their information on their smartphones. And for years, decades, we've had our walking tour on just a piece of paper, you unfold it and you figure it out. And now the technology is pretty amazing. You can get on your phone and you start the tour, and as you walk through town, people will start to talk to you on the app as you go into certain geo-fenced areas. So as you're walking from Robinson Plaza to Callahan Park, it'll suddenly, as soon as you get within eyesight of the nice little elements that Callahan Park has, you'll hear the history of it and how people came here in the 60s and the whole back to nature movement and all of that. So it's not just, you won't just hear history about that golden era when we, mined for gold, but there's a lot of amazing eras in Nevada City, from the 60s where people came from the city and, like I mentioned, the back to the land movement. In the 50s when logging started drying up and mining was going, a lot of things happened in different periods of time. So we want to highlight that so people get a sense of the era and understand why Nevada City is the place it is now. Because, a lot of times people come and they go, God, this is such a beautiful town. How did this happen? I mean, there's no chain stores, there's no utility lines, all the signs look really interesting and different. You'll learn about that on the tour. So.
Okay. Is this on your phone? You mentioned your phone. Is that an app that
Yeah,
you can
it is
get?
an app that you can download. You can go to the App Store or Google Play and download. You just search for GN or GVNC, Grass Valley, Nevada City Cultural District, and that will get you the app. You can also go to our website, nevadacitychamber.com, and click on the link for that. You can also just, there's a QR code, so we'll be putting out in the next couple of weeks rack cards that'll be in all the shops, and so you just put your smartphone on that QR code and you can start the tour.
Now on the screen here we've got that we're looking at, and the folks at home are looking at. That's part of your app that you have, or part of the information that's on the app, correct?
Exactly. So for example, in the photo you see there, that's the old Union Hotel, and you can see the telephone poles. That's actually next to Harmony Books, and that was over the freeway. So there's so many interesting shots. I mean, when I was putting the information together, working with the Historical Society, working with the Searles Historical Library, I was just like, oh my God, look, there was a train track that went through here. You know, it's like, where have all these things gone?
There used to not be a freeway through here.
Yeah, right. And then hearing the story of how the freeway came and how it was decided where it was going to go, and the fact that there was the company that built the freeway went bankrupt 3 months into the project. So for a year, there was no easy way to get from one side of the freeway in town to the other. So for a year, people were having to like go, and they couldn't drive across. So it was just this amazing thing we can't even imagine now.
Wow, I did not know that. So you had to like drive around it, circle
yeah, you
around
had to.
it.
I don't know how far. Maybe you had to go up to Gold Flat, or it's hard to say. But there was so there's a lot of interesting little curious details there that were fun to uncover.
How did this idea originate?
So it just really originated out of necessity, because we were just seeing younger folks. They're just like, you know, they want to see things on their smartphones, and it just makes it easy. We can't be open 24/7. People want to come by, they want to do something and connect to the town historically and understand how it is. So, and in my previous job, I worked in Berkeley running a business improvement district. We did an app in Berkeley, and it was really wildly successful. And so it was like, okay, let's bring that to Nevada City.
Great. How long have you been the
almost 4 years now.
Executive director.
Yeah,
4 years.
Yeah.
So quite a project. You got a lot done in 4 years.
Yeah, right. And that was only the last 5 months. So.
Only the last 5 months.
Yeah.
Well, I
worked on.
You know, we here at Nevada County Media had a little program we put together called the Historical Stops, and it was audio. I don't know if you've ever heard any of it or not.
I've heard about it. Actually, the narration for it was also filmed here, or also recorded here at Nevada County Media.
Yes, it was.
So yeah, so that's we have a great connection to it as well.
Yeah,
and,
a selfish plug by me, but I was the narrator
Why
on
not?
that, so that was why I mentioned it. I was wondering if it was but what you've done is more like a audio.
Yes,
with,
audio,
but video.
Video
with
with
extra pictures.
yeah, and there's what you can like see a picture, and you slide the little whatever divider this way, and you see how it looked before, and then you slide it this way, and you see how it looks now.
Okay.
So there are a lot of little nooks and crannies that are interesting to explore.
How many different locations do you highlight? Roughly?
So right now, the historical walking tour has 13 stops. I should also mention the popular Mark Lyon tour, Haunted Nevada City, is also on the app, and there are 20 stops there. That's a separate tour that you can take, and it's free for the next couple of months, and then for the fall, it'll go back to being a paid tour, which is $10. The historical walking tour will always be free, but we're going to put the tree tour on, which is also really popular, of all the trees in Nevada City that have any historical or whatever biological notoriety.
Okay.
And then there'll be a mining tour we'd like to put together. And there's also a mural tour of all of Nevada County. So if you're ever curious about where all the murals are, who painted them, what the story was behind them, you can also, it's all in the same app.
Well, yeah, like the mural that's on the back of the Del Oro Theater.
Exactly.
Or
that
the one
one,
that's at the one's at the corner of Mill and
exactly,
Main Street.
the Grass Valley with the, yeah. So there's so many that I think there are 26 up right now. And
26 murals?
Yeah,
really?
all over town. And you can just do a hunt, treasure hunt to find them all.
Okay, great. All right. Is there anything else you want to add?
No, that's it. Just a reminder, it's a great thing to do when you have friends coming or your family coming to town. If you want something to do, it's a good thing to do on a rainy day, or, you can stop along the way and grab a pizza at Three Forks or a coffee at Java John's. It's lots of options to turn it into a fun and exciting afternoon.
All right. Thank you.
All right.
Well, thank you for coming by.
Absolutely.
Appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
It's quite an undertaking. It sounds wonderful.
All right.
All right. Well, folks, thank you for watching this edition of Nevada County Now. If you'd like to help contribute or write stories, appear on a show, or even become a host, please check out our details at our website at nevadacountymedia.org/ncn. This program is local news and information brought to you by local residents. So now, folks, remember to stay safe, take care of each other, and get out there and explore all this community has to offer. Good way to start is right here in Nevada City with Stuart's app. So we'll see you next time. Take care, and we'll see you later. Bye now.